From the perspective of business and organizational success, what can we learn from the war in Iran? I'll explain that in this video. There's a special news show called About That, hosted by Andrew Chang for the CBC. And one of the episodes got me thinking about the subject of Iran and what a business can learn from the way they are fighting the war, but more importantly, from how their organization is structured. And I'm going to put a link to that video. I highly recommend it. And I'll put up on screen here a few screenshots. The first one is showing the organizational structure of how Iran manages their organization, or the organizational chart, with the Ayatollah on top, who is the both political and religious leader. But down at the bottom, you have the RIGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. And this is the key to them fighting and winning the war, maybe not winning it, but surviving the war. And what I mean by that, and when you watch the video by Andrew Chang, you'll understand it better. But basically, the way they structure this army or this guard corps, this fighting force, it's that it's completely or very decentralized. In other words, the decision-making does not come from the very top or even from the top leaders in that guard. It comes from the individual units. They're empowered to make decisions on an ad hoc basis based on what is occurring in their city, in their region, and they have the training and the weaponry to respond to any situation. Now that, of course, is probably deteriorating as the war goes on. But there's another element which makes them so successful. And I'm going to relate the two to small business or business success in general and give you some examples of companies that use what I call a decentralized decision-making workforce, which is really about having an autonomous workforce so that the decision-making and the management isn't all centered on the top leadership. And this is a very powerful thing, and there's some good examples of that which I'll share. But there's another element that I want to talk about, and that's the morale, the attitude, the belief system, which I guess we can interpret from a business or organizational perspective, the culture of the thinking behind this elite guard force, and that they're all in their jobs, firstly, not because they're great soldiers, they're made to be great soldiers, but because of their belief, their devotion to the regime, their devotion to the principles behind the Islamic State. Why I'm sharing this, because it's really what's behind my Manage to Lead system, which is my focus is on small business owners who are too involved in day-to-day decision-making and don't have time for strategic thinking, don't have time for themselves, don't have time to work on projects or innovations that will align with their strengths, with their passion, and drive the success of the business. And there's examples of companies that have become very successful doing that type of, or having that type of organization. Now, one of them that came to mind while I was watching the video by Andrew was this book called The Maverick. It's the success story behind the world's most unusual workplace by Ricardo Semler. And Ricardo, at the time, he took over the business from his father. You could look this up. I'll put a link to the book. He also wrote a book called The 7-Day Weekend. And he took over the business when he was very young from his father. I forget why, what happened. When he was 24 years old, he had some serious health issues and had to check himself into the hospital. And he was diagnosed with the most extreme level of stress that the doctors had ever seen. And they said that if you don't change your situation, how you live your life, you'll probably be dead within 2 years. So this was like a big shock, obviously. And he went on to change how the company functioned and completely turned it upside down to become more of a democratic type style of leadership, to force decision-making down to the lowest level. And it became so successful that universities, big corporations sent their executives to that company, to him, to learn and try and emulate what it was they were doing. But this is where I get back to the attitude, to the culture. It's not really all about process and systems. It's also about culture. It's also about thinking and understanding, and it begins with the leader themselves, with that vision of what they want to create. Now, there's other companies like that. One of them that I admire a lot is Patagonia, and the founder, his name is Yvon Chouinard. Patagonia, his practices what he calls management by absence. And he would remove himself from the company, from the operations, for months at a time to test and see how resilient the staff were in taking over and running the company. Another company, which maybe you never heard of, is called Morningstar. And they're out of California. They're a California-based tomato processor. And they practice this approach called they're known to be the self-management pioneer. There are no managers. Instead, employees negotiate colleague letter of understanding agreements with each other. Each person defines their responsibilities and authority levels in writing with their peers, creating a completely autonomous flow. Now, I'm very familiar with this because this is part of my Manage to Lead system as well. That's at one point we introduced those what we call win-win agreements between the boss and his direct report. We start there. And so the key is, how do you move from autocratic style of leadership, and of course from autocratic to democratic? I call the model that Manage to Lead, my system, promotes is participative. But around that, it's building autonomous teams that participate in decision-making or have full autonomy at one point for decision-making. And those levels can be defined based on different types of decisions. But they also continuously practice continuous improvement, innovation. It becomes part of the DNA and doesn't have to be driven by top management. So that, to me, is like the ultimate goal, where people want to contribute, they want to be empowered, and there's many elements involved in producing that type of a organizational structure or way of functioning, which I'm going to share and break down in future videos, and go into depth on each element of my Manage to Lead system and how you could use these approaches and the tools that I'm going to share to apply in your own business. Whether you work with me or not, you could do this, anybody could do this if it's something that you want to achieve and really make it one of your top priorities, or your top priority. I think it should be the top priority. So I'm going to share that. If you haven't already subscribed, I invite you to do so now. Turn on notifications so you get news of new videos. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk again soon.